The Endurance E-Racing World Championship Le Mans 24 Hours is brought to you by ESR Esports Network, Elite Gaming, SimLab, Yousuf, Simplexity, Acetech, and AMD Ryzen Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2020 GTR 24H Endurance E-Racing World Championship. My apologies. We're here live from the Circuit de la Sarthe for 24 hours uninterrupted coverage here on YouTube, Twitch, Amazon Fire, and of course Facebook as well. So, of course, Yousuf, the cars are on their formation lap following the Chevrolet Corvette C6R safety car.
Yeah, and I'm riding on board with the safety car as well. And if you just look down at the Mulsanne straight, look at the clouds that are forming. There is rain coming. I stand by that. We will be getting rain at some point. And, well, the question is, when does it come in? Will it be the difference between staying out for 10 laps and staying out for 11 laps? Who knows, but that rain will be coming at some point, and the teams will have to be well aware. And I reckon fuel saving is the way to go. Try to get that car as far as possible, and I think teams will be doing that anyway, but that might be even more vital here for this race start at Le Mans.
Yes, exactly, indeed. And of course, everyone here going to be making sure that they keep those cars as clean as possible and as tire heated as possible for the start here at Le Mans. Of course, plenty of time in this race for things to go wrong, plenty of time in this race for things to go right. And of course, strategy calls, battles, action, and crashes galore, potentially, depending on the mistakes and the weather. Hopefully we can get the weather radar up, because it'd be interesting to see what the weather looks like as we are on this formation lap. Because of course, the longer the formation lap takes, the more chance that rain hits us before we go green, and the more chance that that rain hits us earlier on into the race than we think. Having a look at the weather forecast, the radar is completely clear, Yousuf. It just looks a bit cloudy.
It's just cloudy
with a chance of rain drops. I was going to say rain
You need to change to position 42. Thank you.
Just getting some word from race control about one of the teams needing to switch position. Ibrahim Khan in third, but the man we are riding on board with, or Ibrahim Khan in second, pardon me, but the man I'm on board with, Henry Sinnick, not only leading the hypercar class, but leading the entire field as well. Things are going to be close, and if I remember correctly, there was word from race director a while ago telling the teams to make sure that between the classes themselves to leave a bit of a gap, so just to allow, you know, one class to get through your Dunlop chicane, and then the next class, and then let your GT cars do whatever GT cars want to do.
The safety car will now start its speed around the track and the distance between the classes. Please respect that.
So there we go, the race director just making sure that everyone now has the gaps between the classes. The safety car begins to speed up, meaning Henry Sinnick can finally, you know, have a bit of a break from being on what must have felt like the pit limiter for all of that entire straight. But of course, the hypercars will take their gap, and as you are perfectly right, Yousuf, just allows the two prototype classes just to be spread. We know how close these guys can be off the start, especially with the LMP2 braking performance. And of course, these guys will want to get as good a race into turn one as possible. And of course, that Seawolf car is right on the bumper of that Bin-Suhayl Esports car. That is Ibrahim Khan showing his intentions. And you can see some tyre warming in the background, actually, from the Viaducton car, and also even for the Scuderia Basilia car, which of course didn't set a time in qualifying, so we have no idea how quick that car is going to be tonight and tomorrow. Well, the car's already kicking up one of the bars, sending it for 6 as it comes through the Mulsanne hairpin. But of course, you know, you look down to LMP2, Jesper Pedersen, that car put on pole by Jerne Simončić last night, and now happily cruising out front with the second place car, Marcel Chinchik. Very, very close indeed. And Peter Schultz looming in the background in third place. But it's great to see every single car in LMP2 in that same camera shot. And of course, Everyone just making sure that they are all in line. Moving down to GT, obviously, Bin-Suhayl on pole in the satellite racing car. GT sort of having a bit of a bigger gap, so might want to close up a bit, otherwise there's going to be some cars missing out off the start, but maybe that's the plan. Maybe they think, oh, if we hang back, we might not get involved in trouble.
Number 24,
yeah, and you have to remember the GT class is running right behind the biggest class of the entire field, LMP2, so it's kind of understandable that they want to leave a little bit more of a gap just so that they can, you know, as you mentioned, not get caught up in any
incident. This is interesting as well. The GTE leaders have been told to slow down because they're too far away. Now, personally, I would say that that's the fault of the rest of the GTE field, because these guys have left a plenty big enough gap to the LMP2, so they're obviously going slower. But it seems that the rest of the GT field just wanted to be even slower than that.
I'm riding on board with our GTE class leader, Bin-Suhayl. You cannot see the LMP2 cars. They're gone. They're going down into Indianapolis. They cannot see any cars ahead of them. So I also want to take a look at our GT3 leader, Borja Milan. He's left a big gap to GTE. So
he's just been told to increase that speed to close up to the back of the GTE field as well. So those guys going to just make sure they push up a bit more. But that Mercedes, it looks hungry. It looks hungry for a victory.
It does indeed. And it's got the Mercedes of the Musto team right behind it as well. Where are our, leaders? Henry Sinning, how far are they? They're just making their way into the Porsche curb. So we're going to be having our GTR, or, our hypercar class start, then LMP2, then GTE, and then GT3. Gives us time, really, to take a look at each and every battle before the Mulsanne straight.
Yeah, it'll be great. Of course, we'll have both cameras, one on the LM hypercar start, one on the LMP2 start. Of course, this would be really good to see as well. And now, as Henry Sinning will round through Corvette corner, you see the safety car slightly in front, just pulling off. You can see your LMP2 pole sitter coming out of there as well. And now it's just a case of when Henry Sinning decides to jump. You can see the E-Team Brit car and the Seawolf car looming in the background. Slight weaving coming from the esports car behind the 97. Ibrahim Khan just warming those tyres up. The safety car pulls off. And we are about to go green out of the final corner. Waiting. And we're green for the 24 hours of Le Mans here at GTR 24H. And it's a great start for the E-Team Brit car. Henry Sinning trying to defend. It's a great move for the inside, but the Net Race car is going to hold the lead. And it's going to be a great start indeed as the LMP2 field goes green as well. We'll keep an eye on the Le Mans hypercar start as the GTEs are going to come around to start their green flag as well. Meanwhile, that will mean that Bin-Suhayl will take the lead off the line. No moves going to be happening in GTE. Do not know about GT3, however, but making our way back to the front of the field with the Le Mans hypercars because Ibrahim Khan is looking for blood, and that blood is coming from the back of Henry Sinning.
Yeah, it is coming from the back of Henry Sinning, who got an absolutely fantastic start. As we saw just how slow off the start the Pinsims Drillers the esports car was, and now Henry Sinning is under so much pressure because Ibrahim Khan is going to be on the outside going into the Mulsanne chicane, and that's a back end going super squirmy from Henry Sinning. And will it cost him? And the answer, I think, is no.
No, Henry Sinning manages to hold on. Meanwhile, in the background, Mark Veit getting past Morten Argesen, actually, getting past the 97. So they already move up place. Meanwhile, Ibrahim Khan to the outside of the Mulsanne straight, looking to take the lead once more, and he gets it done before the braking zone. We have our first lead change already, and that's between the 47 and the 10. Seawolf Net Race 1, Pinsim Drillers Esports 0.
Yeah, and it looked like a really questionable start from Pinsims Drillers, and it looked like a question of when and not if. And finally, Ibrahim Khan able to get the move off, but don't forget, everyone, they're going to be running their own strategies, and what those strategies are, we will have to wait and see. Some drivers might be looking for a bit more pace at the start, others towards the end of their stints. Still, Borja Milan leading the way in the GT3 field. You can see the Mercedes of the Musto team behind, followed by the DIS SR Lab car.
Yeah, looking at LMP2, move already made. Ernest Lappin's making his way past the 717 Idols car of Petter Schulze. Meanwhile, Jesper Pedersen trying to get away from the Varga car behind of Marcel Chinchik. Well, it's working so far, but again, we saw how close these guys were in qualifying, and there may even be a potential for a move coming into Indianapolis if they are brave enough on the brakes. No, they're not. And everyone else keeping themselves clean so far. Meanwhile, that looks like Alessandro Apolloni is wanting to have a look at Peter Schulzer as well, but of course, these guys have got the one-move car behind.
Look at the GT3 class, though. We've got a move happening for second, and that's around the outside, I think, down into the Mulsanne hairpin. DISSR are having a little look for the position. We can just see it in the background. Not quite able to get the move off, though.
No, not able to get the move off there at all. Meanwhile, at the front of Hypercar, that gap has gone up. It's half a second now between Ibrahim Khan and Henry Sinnick. Mark Veit actually making his way past Team Viaducton, so that car already up to 4th place in Le Mans Hypercar, now chasing down the E-Team Brit car. This car seems to have some serious pace, does the number 66 Scuderia Basilia car. Of course, that car
will... DIS have done it. They've gone round the outside the long way through Indianapolis. That is a brave move. And Andy Kurtzen has pulled it off. He's found a way past
and the Mustang car is there as well on the outside of Arnage, trying to look for the run on the exit down towards the Porsche curves. These two getting extremely close. Plenty of racing room left between them. Of course, this Musto is a brand new entry to the GT category for this round against your GT title leaders. This is side by side. Will they go for the move? They're going to back out of it, but no, they're not. Around the outside of the Porsche curves, and it's Mercedes 1 and McLaren 0.
Oh, this is absolutely fantastic battling that we're getting right now, Alex. Both the cars want to get up into second. They want to push away, but there is being no room left to make mistakes of pushing to the absolute limit. Absolutely fantastic battling in the GT3 class.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Bohemian already 2 seconds ahead of the GT field at the very least because of this fight going on. Carrying on to look at Daniele Primavera in that Musto car with the DIS SR Lab car of Kurtzen behind, trailing, but he seems to have dropped back through the forward chicanes. So it seems that that battle might be off for now. Meanwhile, that Rookie Monsters car has held strong, currently in 4th, and in 6th place is still Alexander van der Velde in the number 404 Glam Racing car. Going to have a bit of a look further up because there is only 7 tenths between Chinchik and Peterson at the moment. Ernest Lapis is actually closing in on these guys as well. So he is very, very fast in that number 17 Pinson Drillers Esports car.
He is indeed. Ibrahim Khan as well in, leading the hypercar class and, absolutely destroying Henry Sinnick right now. He's got himself a 2-second lead at the lead of the field for the Le Mans 24 Hours, and he is not looking to let off as well. He said in our interview he feels that he's got the pace, the team have the pace, and they're showing it right now in the opening stint of the race.
Yeah, exactly, and just looking, you can see actually as well the hypercar leaders. Meanwhile, there was almost a move there between the Glam car and the GT and the 166 ID Simmons Sports car. No move made there, however. But those two looking very, very close indeed. I'm going to keep an eye on the LMP2 lead fight because this is going to be trading places, I feel, through the first 30 minutes of this race. Of course, LMP2 is looking to do about 40-45 minutes on a fuel tank. Meanwhile, we do have a fight in GTE. We saw this getting closer, actually. I was keeping an eye on this. Jordi San Andreas coming under pressure from the number 74 Deuces Motorsports Club car. These two getting close indeed. Obviously, equal machinery, different setup, different drivers, different teams. But the World of Sim Racing number 51 is looking very close indeed to the front end of that Deuces Motor Club. And of course, your title-leading GTE car is not far behind either.
No, they are not. That title-leading GTE car, Musto GT. They put out their stronger lineup in the GTE class, and let's see if David Greco can close the gap because he is 1.4 behind. But here we go. Wojtek Polesny on the back of Jordi San Andres. He'll move to the outside and he should be able to get the job done as well. Easy does it, but they are still side by side as we make our way down the rubber wheel.
Body panels
bodies down into Indianapolis, but down the inside goes the Czech team and they squeeze squeeze the other Porsche out wide, but that is Wojtek Bolesny up into P2.
Having a look again on the stream replay, and just ever so slightly that rear end stepping out on the Dunasis Motor Club Porsche, and now it's allowed the Musto Ferrari to close right up to the back, but that World of Sim Racing Porsche is not going to let things go that easily. To the inside for defense, maybe even potentially to the outside, and he's going to look for the inside with the Porsche curve, but the Duties Motorsports Club boys are wise to it, covering the outside, not letting them go the long way around. Seems to be pretty quick around here if you've got enough grip. But these guys, it's going to be a three-way fight for a long, long time.
It is indeed, and you know, Jordi San Andres, he is not going to be happy with that move that Wojtek Bolesny pulled off. He's going to be fuming right now, and he's going to want to get revenge as well.
It's going to be interesting though, because they've dropped into the clutches of David Greco now in that Musto GD Racing Ferrari 488, and these guys looking extremely close now. But these guys are very, very close indeed, and coming towards the Dunlop chicane. Nothing separates these guys at all. Going to see if there's anyone close as well towards the front of the field. No one really close, although the gap in LMP2 has come down to 6/10. Everyone else is rather spread out at the moment. Meanwhile, Matthew De Croo and Alessandro Apolloni are very close indeed in LMP2. This is the fight for, I believe, sixth place, and these guys side by side on the grass is the one move at a car as they make rough bodywork. LMP racing at its finest, these two bumping and barging, argy-bargy already, and we're not even 20 minutes in as they look for the inside. Not going to work there. He's going to make a dive. He spins round the 33 car. This is going to allow the HM Engineering car to go through. That is Ferry Stanley, and also Riley McKibben in the 888 AC Sim Motorsports car is going to go through as well. And it's going to drop those guys down in positions.
Yeah, and oh, that was just so late, and they just clip each other.
But they're still side by side as well, coming down towards Indianapolis. This is the fight that was going on behind those guys as Ferry Stanley moves to the outside. Riley going to play it safe, back off. He knows not to be too aggressive early on. He's very experienced at starting these sort of races. Knows it's not won on the first lap, but it's certainly lost.
Yeah, and I can just see just getting squeezed onto the grass. The 33 playing it a little bit aggressively, but there you have it. So still leading is, of course, Ibrahim Khan, who now has a 5-second lead over Henry Sinek, and maybe that's just different strategies, and Henry plans on pitting maybe even up to one lap later. But that hypercar class, we said it'd be entertaining, and Ibrahim Khan, the man who didn't qualify on pole, is the man who's leading the race.
Yeah, exactly, and it's great to see. I think he's really just wanted to get that gap out very quickly indeed, get that car out of slipstream range so they know they can't fuel save off of them. And now that's the case, they can start to relax, focus on their strategy. Meanwhile, this LMP2 fight is extremely close indeed. It does actually also give the 717 some breathing room, because those guys were extremely close to this fight as well. But now with that contact, it has been very close. It's going to be interesting. That incident will probably also be under investigation momentarily, so I'll bring you some updates on that as well, because I'm very sure that neither team will be very happy with the situation that just unfolded.
No, neither team will be. I'm expecting to see something coming through from race control very, very soon regarding the incident, as we take a look at Riley McKibben in that 888 car as he hunts down a Ferris Stanley for P11 of the overall series. Of course, that is for P6 of the LMP2 class.
Well, we look a bit further down, only a few places down, as Chris Gonzalez and the 007 Pro Sim car, alongside the 37 Rookie Monsters car of Mantis Rakers, are very, very close indeed. But of course, we might move a bit further up because the slipstream battle is on, and will it be anything to shy about? Because you can see up front, the gap between some of these LMP2 guys has really, really stretched out. But we can see the Pro Sim guys looking to the inside of the Fair Racing team. Fair Racing will back out of that move, but it might allow Mantis Rakers to get a run, and it has indeed. He's got such a good exit out of the Mulzar chicane. He will look very, very close. He looks one way, he looks another. Which way is he going to go? He's going to go to the outside. They're going to be side by side, side drafting their way down. And he's actually going to have the slipstream of the Pro Sim car as well, so that's going to be helping him out into the braking zone. And it's going to be Chris Gonzalez who will have to concede that position for now. But of course, it's still 24 hours to go. Although, what doesn't seem to feel like it's 24 hours ago is a fight for third in LM Hypercar, because Bobby Trundley is now under immense pressure from the German of Mark Veit, who will go to the outside on the run down towards Indianapolis. Two Hypercars side by side, Scuderia Basilia and E-Team Brit. E-Team Brit have to concede for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bobby Trundley has a look. He does indeed. He's not going to make it work there. Will he have a dive into Arnage? Well, I think he's a bit too far back for now.
And also at the front of the LMP2 class, things are starting to spice up. Marcel Chinchek closing in onto Jasper Pedersen. And there is less than a second, almost half a second separating the two prototypes. And maybe something will be coming of it very shortly. And actually, if we go back to Mantis Records, he's still pushing. He's closing in onto Prosim as they make their way down and now in towards Indianapolis and Arnage. And maybe Mantis could have a think a little bit later on in the lap down into the Porsche curves.
Yeah, he won't be having a look right now. Not enough room to make that move work into Arnage. It's not really a place you look to make moves. You look to make them in the Porsche curves and after getting a run. But as you said, Jesper Pedersen, half a second between the two of the LMP2 leaders so far. As Mark Veit is actually now only just under 3 seconds.
Primavera's made a move for second in the GT3 class. He's up ahead of a DIS SR Lab, and now he's going to be looking to hunt down Borja Milan. What happened to...
Well, they must have swapped places because he was ahead of that McLaren for a fair while. So if that's a recent move, then nothing must have gone. Meanwhile, there is a fight in the GTE classes between the 177 ID Sim Sport car and the 78 Per B car. These two going at it like absolute mad. Slipstreaming BMW versus Aston, two of the world's biggest car manufacturers, and especially in sports car racing, two of the most prestigious sports car manufacturers in the business. Going at it, coming down into the Mulsanne hairpin. Not going to make a move is the 78 car, but the 177 will hold on for now, but he's definitely going to have some pressure from behind, because you can also see the 166. He's in a bit of an ID Sim Sport sandwich, is the 78 Per B car. And well, for all we know, it could stay that way for the next hour.
Yeah, and DIS were able to find a move on Musto. They are back up into second place. The fighting continues, and another place where we're going to be getting fighting is in the battle for second place in the GTE class. Wojtek Polesny 3/10 behind Jordi San Andres, as now Jimmy Nisela has a 4+ second lead.
That's been a repass, because the World of Sim Racing car has gone back past the Juicy's Motor Club car. And that's also allowing, again, that Musto car's just been sat there waiting for these guys to make a mistake. But that Juicy's Motorsports Club car is trying to hunt them back down. And this is what we want to see. This is the racing that we expect from the GTE class. And I said to you before this race, if there's a race you want to watch, it's going to be GTE. And already they are proving it now.
Yeah, they are proving it indeed. We might be also having a battle in the hypercar class as well, because Bobby Trundley from our E-Team Brit is closing in onto Mark Veit from Scuderia Basilia, but I'm not sure if actually Mark Veit recently found a move, because of course Mark Veit and Basilia started from the very back of the grid.
Yeah, they made that move a couple of laps ago, Yousuf, of course, getting past on the run down, I believe it was into the Porsche curves if I remember correctly, but again, my mind's probably deceiving me because I've already had enough action in the first half an hour of this race. Meanwhile, it seems that fight in GTE has kind of settled out now. Those guys seemingly nice and spread. The gap also in LMP2 is holding solid at half a second. Just seeing who is relatively close in any of the classes, really, because GT3 has already spread out rather well. Meanwhile, Borja Milan will go back to him as he has got a 6.6 second lead now, and that's without Nico Barkley or Chris Shepard having even gotten in the car yet.
And actually, Mantis Records is having a look at ProSim, who will go defensive on the long run down towards Indianapolis. But around the outside will go Mantis. Does he have the bravery? Of course he does. Mantis Records moves up one extra position in the LMP2 class, and I think on that note, we're going to head into a quick ad break, and when we're back, we'll be back with the next half an hour of action here from Le Mans.
Endurance E-Racing World Championship Le Mans 24 Hours is brought to you by ESR Esports Network, Week Gaming, SimLab, Yousuf, Simplexity, Acetech, and AMD Ryzen Radio.
Do you like games? Do you like esports? Do you hate watching laggy streams of tournaments on 13-inch screens?
Oh my god!
Of course you do. But you don't have to worry about that anymore.
He has a drum, son!
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. Their 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40mm extruded aluminum profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40mm extruded aluminum profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Welcome back to the 2020 GTR 24H 24 Hours of Le Mans. You see us right in the midst of a hypercar battle for third. Bobby Trunley and Mark Veit instantaneously swapping positions. Bobby Trunley with a beautiful move on the outside of Indianapolis, but not to be. He's going to have a look around the outside of the Porsche curves. It's not going to be able to be done there, but the Brit having a very, very close look at the German. And this is a very close indeed battle of the Titans. That hypercar of the Brasilia hypercar of Mark Veit has been so strong in the opening laps of the race, and you can see in front Henry Sinnick actually trying to get through GT3 traffic. This is obviously now crunch time for these guys, because we see now these guys all stuck in traffic. This is where the time is gained and the time is lost. Mistakes are made and battles are won, because the more traffic you get in, the harder it is to get by, and the fights just become a lot tougher.
And speaking of battles that have been won and lost, just a quick update on the GTE class, because David Greco has found a way past Wojtek Polesny, pardon me, and is closing in on Jordi San Andres. We'll keep an eye though on this battle for P3 in the hypercar class, as Mark Veit tries his best to keep the E-Team Brit car behind.
Yes, exactly. They're going to be coming up on the back of the Rookie Monsters 650S. That is the 999 car. But of course, Mark Veit getting a bit wide. It's going to allow Bobby Trunley onto the back of him as they go down the inside. Veit to the inside. Oh. Bobby Trunley backs out of it wisely. Knows that that's not going to be a good idea. Makes the smart move, so we'll lose some time to Veit. But this is now also on the back of the Veit for what I believe is actually second in GT3. He's worming his way through the middle of the two. Is Mark Veit, and he can see that second place Bin-Suhayl's car in front.
Yeah, and second place in GT3, currently Daniela Primavera ahead of DIS SR Lab. Borja Milan 11.5 seconds up the road. The man is going, you know, almost 3 seconds a lap quicker than anyone else in the GT3 class. His pace is absolutely astonishing, as we have our first pit to come through. Chris Gonzalez from the LMP2 class. He's into the pits, and I don't think that has been 10 laps yet.
Well, how far in are we? We're about 35 minutes in, so maybe these guys went a bit more aggressive on the fuel strategy, trying to maybe throw the guys off. Meanwhile, fight for second in GT3. That's a very late, brave move, and they've got the Viaductson car behind, but it's not going to work for the DIS SR lap car, but he's going to have a decent run as we go on board with Riley McKibben in the 888 car as he goes around the outside, I believe, of the 33 car. No, sorry, it's to the inside as they come down. No, this is the outside. Sorry, I take that back. No, this is the inside. God, I will get this right eventually. It's hard trying to tell sometimes.
Alessandro Apolloni got a really bad run onto the Mulsanne straight, super close between the two of them.
He has to go very tight, cut the corner. That means he's going to have a very, very horrible run coming out of the chicane. And he's going to be to the inside is the Australian of Riley McKibben. Gives plenty of room. They have got the Rookie Monsters car behind, so things may not be going that well. We're on board with Mantas Rakers as he follows these two. Riley makes the move stick, but now it does give the 33 car an opportunity to dive it to the inside, but they've got to worry about Rakers as well because he is going to be looking, he's going to be swerving on the back. They've got GT3 traffic now as well because that is Peter Schulze going past one of the back marking GT3s, but now we're going to look at Alessandro Apolloni because he is going to be looking at the back, but he's also got to look at his mirrors because here comes the 37 Rookie Monsters car as he goes to the inside of Indianapolis and gets the move stuck, but Riley's going to be having a look.
Riley will be having a look indeed as we have another pit coming through. That is the GT3 class. No, sorry, that's the Ferrari in the GTE class. Not entirely sure which team that is. I think it's Dan Hutt. No, it might be I'm not sure who, actually, to be honest.
Well, meanwhile, this fight in LMP2 is still going strong. Mantas Rakers looking to the inside, and McKibben with traffic there as well. He gets the move stuck and gets the move on the McLaren done as well. So not only does he get a move done on Riley, he gets to gap him as well and chase down, or begin to chase down, Alessandro Apolloni. These guys now 3.5 seconds off the back of the 11th, of the overall 11th place car, which is the, I believe, the 5th place car, which is the HM Engineering car of Ferris Stanley. These guys still running strong out on circuit. No looking at pitting just yet.
Yeah, and all the battles seem to have pretty much ended now as well. We still have David Greco trying his hardest to close in onto Jordi San Andres. He's just under a second behind, and maybe he's just using that Porsche just to punch a hole in the air and maybe save a little bit of fuel.
Yeah, exactly. These guys are going to be looking at fuel strategy more than anything at the moment, especially if they can save fuel behind their opponents. It's sort of a double-edged sword. You want to be ahead of the guys, but you want to be behind them to save fuel as well.
Yeah, and I'm just keeping an eye as well on to Matteo Decro, one of, well, it was one of my picks to watch for super quick in the previous rounds of the championship, and he's having a little look. That's Michele Mollet up ahead, but he gets caught out ever so slightly by one of the Ferraris. And from being right on the tail of the LMP2 car, he's now got, you know, almost a second gap to regain.
I just got a note through from race control. Car number 337, that is Dylan Tarboton in the Rookie Monsters LMP2, has received a stop and go plus 20 for an incident yesterday during the qualifying session. So that car is going to already drop very far off the back of the LMP2 field if it hadn't already. So it's a shame for those guys, but it is racing. You've got to keep within the rules if you want to stay in the fight. But of course, it is a 24-hour race, and we've got 23 hours and 22 minutes remaining. Plenty of time for them to make that back up. Meanwhile, having a look back in the hypercar class, because Bobby Trunley is right on the back of the Scuderia Basilia of Mark Veit. He's swerving left and right. He's having a look. They've got the GTE battle for second place in front of them now. And this is going to get ever so close. Mark Veit having to try and find which way he goes. They got the Musto Ferrari to get by first. He's going to have a look to the inside of Arnage. Bobby Trunley will back off and let him through, go through. Blue flags, the light flashing away to let them know they got faster cars behind to be aware of. Meanwhile, the hypercar, Bobby Trunley gets by. They've now got to worry about getting past your GT leader, which is still Jimmy Missoula in the number 65 Satellite Racing car.
Yeah, Jimmy Nisula having a pretty good run so far, finds themselves 5.5 seconds ahead of Jordi San Andres, and we really did expect the satellite team to do well after what was a stellar performance in the qualifying. Just in case anyone was wondering what's happening at the front of the field, Ibrahim Khan has himself a 14.5 second lead over the number 10 Henry Sinnig Pinsims Drillers Esports car.
Yeah, and these guys now will come back to the fight for third because it is getting ever closer, Yousuf. These two are so close in battle. They're actually dropping off the back of the guys ahead of them as Mark Fight does a 3:27. This is over 3 seconds. And actually, these guys are in third. This is the fight for third anyway. It means that the Drillers Esports car has actually gapped these guys because of how hard they've been fighting in traffic.
Yeah, they have been fighting.
Not even an hour in Yousuf, come on. Meanwhile, again, as we have a look, I'm just going to have a look a bit further down the field whilst these two fight. No real, position changes going on anywhere at the moment, but of course, it could be a position change here between Bobby Trumley and Mark Veit. The two locked in battle, slipstreaming down the Hall straight. I don't think that Bobby Trumley's going to be able to get past just yet.
But just take a look as well further down in the LMP2 battle. Matteo Decro all over the back of Michel Mollet, and these guys will be fighting hard, not to be confused with farting hard, and while that might give extra propulsion, maybe they'll just put themselves off just a little bit as they make their way through the Dunlop curve and down into the Dunlop chicane. It's still Matteo Decro ahead of it's still Michele Mollet ahead of Matteo Decro.
Yeah, indeed, in this LMP2 fight getting very close indeed, and you just got to keep an eye because again, these two really wanting to fight each other ever so hard. Meanwhile, that fight in hypercars getting close again because Bobby Trumley's close right up to the back of the Scuderia Basilia car. You can see that on the right-hand insert of your screen on the left-hand side. The LMP2 fight at the moment looking at Matthew Decro, but of course, which one will make the move first? They'll be what we have to see. Everywhere else, it seems to be pretty quiet at the moment in each class, but we've got two prototype classes giving us all of the action so far. Slight lock-up as well for the E-Team Brick car. That's not going to help them. That's all that's going to do is make that tyre look more like a 50-pence piece than it is going to make it look like a nice round tyre. And that's going to start giving vibrations to the driver as well. They've got more traffic up the road as well, as far as I can see. Meanwhile, Alessandro Apolloni to the inside of Ferris Stanley. And that is a beautiful move down the inside.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Alessandro. Up now into P5 in the LMP2 class. Quick update in the GT3 class because the DIS, well, actually, I'm not sure if they've made a mistake because they're now 3 seconds behind DIS. So they were pretty much neck and neck, and now DIS have seemingly pulled out a bit of a gap, and, well, they're matching Borgia Milan in pace alone.
Yeah, exactly. These guys absolutely flying right now. This is all they need to do as long as they cannot lose time even whilst doing this. Meanwhile, Matthew Decro trying to have a look. They've got GT traffic in front. That is one of the McLaren 720S GT3 cars, and they've also got one of the Ferraris as well. Trying to have a look. It is going to be very close indeed. Obviously, Michele Mollet having a very close defense, but Matthew Decro to the outside on the run towards Indianapolis. Is he going to make the move work? He's got to try and trust the downforce and the grip of the car as they all make it through there. You've also got to have insane trust in the driver if you'll go side by side, flashing the headlights as there's traffic ahead, and he makes the move work.
Yeah, through Indianapolis, he flashes the lights up for the camera because there's no one up ahead that he needs to flash. Good stuff from Mathieu Decro to gain one extra position for the number 11 team.
Meanwhile, in GTE, having a look, there is a fight between the two ID Sim Sport cars, the 177 and the 166. Those two running line astern at the moment, potentially just trying to help each other, actually, maybe even fuel save at the moment, just keep each other in that fuel window. They've got the Pro Sim car behind, but it's good to see the two Aston Martins running together and not actually that far, well, actually towards the back of the GT order, but again, that's just something they have to deal with for now, and they could even be potentially coming up the order through the race.
Yeah, they could indeed. The two ID Sim Sport cars very close together.
Meanwhile, in the pit lane is your LMP2 leader and the majority of the LMP2 field. Jesper Pedersen, Petter Schulze, Alessandro Apolloni, Ferry Stanley and Riley McKibben in the pit lane. So all of these guys, we are in the pit window for LMP2 now. Ernest Lappins, Mantas Raker staying out. And I believe also the Pro Sim car staying out as well. So these guys trying to fuel save as much as possible to try and get that extra lap, get that extra time. Because again, over the race, this will save them time.
Yeah, will save them a lot of time. And Marcel Cinchek is still out as well in that 117 Varga Sim Racing car. So he's shown good pace in the first stint, and he's able to go one lap longer as well. This is the 10 versus the 11 lap strategy we're seeing in play.
The interesting as well actually will be to see where Tony Janssen comes out, because he pitted quite a while ago now in respect to these guys. So it'll be interesting to see if that early stop has paid off or if it has really hindered them. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. I'm not sure who for. I'm going to try and see if I can find out.
And while you take a look at that, I'm just going to have a quick look down the field. Is there anyone close? Dylan well, of course, Dylan Tarbotten is very close because he's in the pits. And actually, Team Rookie Monsters will be able to jump ahead of, well, that's Riley McKibben. He was ahead of before anyway. Either way, looks like a pretty decent stop from Team Rookie Monsters. They jump ahead of
Dylan Tarbotten
as well.
His penalty, as far as I'm aware. That was only 20 seconds, so that will be them serving their penalty. They've still got to make a pit stop as well. But I'd assume this will just put them slightly off sync. Petter Schulze actually out of the pits, about 12 seconds behind Jesper Pedersen. That's the gap that he had over 4th place at the time. And obviously Jesper Pedersen now behind the Rookie Monsters car. Now what will be interesting is to see where these guys come out in relation to the rest of the LMP2 field. Of course, plenty of time before the hypercars and the GT cars come down the pit road. And what will be interesting as well, as I see, obviously Dylan Tarbotten getting passed by Michele Molle, as far as I'm aware.
Something else I want to bring up as well is actually we're just going to see the two ID Sim Sport cars switch position. They're not going to want to fight, and they'll let that position switch happen nice and easily. But
interesting switch as well. David Greco has gotten past Jordi San Andres.
Oh, has he now? Was that on track, or has it been a pit stop?
It must have been on track, because GT cars aren't due down the pit lane for another 15 minutes at the very least. So that must have been on track. Potentially a mistake from the World of Sim Racing Porsche.
Well, on the last lap, Jordi San Andres did go 2.1 seconds slower than David Greco, so maybe a mistake through the final chicane. Something else I want to bring up is Daniela Primavera. He's been dropping back from DIS. Well, he's kind of held a gap, but Malcolm Smith is now within 4/10. We've had so many questions about that McLaren 650S, but Team Rookie Monsters are making it work.
They are indeed, of course. They are really running well. Malcolm Smith at the wheel at the moment to the outside of Primavera, down towards the run. And they are going to make that move nice and early, actually. Primavera backing out before Indianapolis, knowing that this is not his fight to be fought. And he's going to back out nicely. Meanwhile, David Greco pulling even further on Jordi San Andres, and the leaders in LMP2 are in. Marcel Cinchek, Ernest Lappins. You can see how much they are angled in the pit lane just to make sure that they don't have issues. Mantas Rakers will come down as well in the 37 Rookie Monsters car. Meanwhile, in the insert, you'll see the 188 Telephonican car, the Callaway Corvette. You see the LMP2s breeze past coming into Indianapolis. Absolutely insane speeds. Meanwhile, Ryan Nash will come in as well, trying to see where the LMP2 field is. Well, there's Jesper Pedersen, and he is coming past the pit entry in about 20 seconds or so. So it'll be interesting to see where Ernest Lappins and Marcel Cinchek come out, because again, Cinchek was only half a second back when Jesper came into the pit lane. So we need to see where he is when he comes out. Jesper out of the final corner, and Marcel Cinchek is rolling. Marcel Cinchek leaves the pit lane. Where is Jesper Pedersen?
He's a little bit behind, and he's got
Cinchek is in the lead of LMP2.
Yeah, but you can see that they are absolutely neck and neck as well. This is not done just yet, and maybe we can see Burst with those slightly more worn-in tires having a go down the straight, down the Mulsanne straight into one of the chicanes. And actually, he's going to get it done before, because he gets a great run coming through the S's. And Marcel Chinchik will drop down into P2.
All he's done, though, is compromise himself. Going down the inside of Test Rouge, you have to slow the car up so much more. And all this is going to do is allow the run to be fought from Marcel Chinchik. Of course, no driver swaps this time about. You've got a while to go before they come in yet. But they're now on the back of the Simply Race BMW as Chinchik has a look, sees that there's a car there, knows that he's not going to make it through. He has a very, very close look, though. He's got to try and focus on getting the run out of the corner and trying to get through, maybe down the straight. He's still going to have the slipstream from that Burst Esports car as they come down towards the second Mulsanne chicane. Meanwhile, Riley McKibben's only 3 tenths back off of Le Mans, so that could be a position that might change in the future. Actually, I think Riley McKibben has jumped Riley McKibben in that set of pit stops.
And I actually just want to give an update, because Malcolm Smith and Daniela Primavera having a bit of a battle. Malcolm had actually got past Primavera, and now he's dropped back behind. So these two having a titanic clash up for P3 in the GT3 class. Still Borja Milan, who leads from DIS, but DIS are trying their best to hunt Borja Milan down. The gap is under 10 seconds, although Borja has just responded by setting the new fastest up of the race. Either way, back for P3. Down the inside goes Malcolm Smith, and he gets the job done into the Mulsanne chicane.
Yeah, absolutely amazing move. Just simple, sweet, and gets it done. Meanwhile, back in the fight for the lead of LMP2. This is for track. This is on merit alone. And, well, Chinchik, you can see in the background, you can actually see Ernest Lappins in the background in third. So he is closing in on these guys. The harder these guys fight, the harder they are going to fall. And, well, you can see Ernest getting past traffic. He's going to have clean air now. But, of course, he's got to try and catch the fighting fast pair of Pedersen. He's actually in the gravel on the exit of Indianapolis, whilst these guys have got GT traffic ahead of them.
And I tell you what, the battle is still going between Primavera and Malcolm Smith. And Primavera got past going into the Mulsanne hairpin, and they will still be battling as they make their way now down towards Indianapolis. They're side by side, that's contact, and they're going to be able to stay in a straight line. I'm not sure whose fault that was, but that would have given them both a little bit of a squeaky bum moment. But up ahead goes Malcolm Smith.
It's going to be very close indeed to see the contact. So close, so tight. And it just seemed like the rear end came out on that McLaren ever so slightly. And it's obviously not intentional contact. But again, we're not even an hour in yet, guys. Calm down. There's 23 hours to go. Don't give yourselves a heart attack like that this early on.
They're driving like there's only 23 seconds left of the race. Multiply that by a good old 3,600, and that's how long you actually have left. But Primavera is still having a look as they make their way to the Porsche curves. This is not done yet. What a battle we have in the GT3 class.
It's always exciting in the GT classes. These guys as close as can be. Meanwhile, this fight in LMP2 is still there, and actually it seems that Chinchik has just gotten so unlucky with traffic everywhere that Jesper Pedersen seems to get through. Chinchik just can't get by. He has to hold back and just has to wait to go by. Chinchik actually got held behind one of the Ferraris coming out of the Dunlop chicane, whereas Pedersen managed to get through on the inside, but that gap is still so close.
And into the pits comes a DIS. They've had enough into the pits. Malcolm Smith will go. So that 650S has had enough, and it will give Primavera some clean air just to push for a couple of laps, see if he can get that overcut to work out for him.
Indeed, we'll see another fight going on as well in LMP2 is between Mantis Rakers and Alessandro Apolloni. Those two have been extremely close since the pit stop. So that is the 33 Drive Game Seat Racing car alongside the 37 Rookie Monsters car. Those two separated again by half a second as they come through the first of the Mulsanne chicanes as they make their way out. Mantis Rakers potentially looking to try and get by. These guys have never had the qualifying pace, but they've always had the race pace to put stop to whatever qualifying woes they may have. Again, this car was involved in that very controversial incident last night, but nothing gained, nothing lost, and these guys now looking to try and fight as hard as possible.
And they're only 20 seconds behind the likes of Jesper Pedersen and Marcel Cinchik, who are still separated by under a second, and it doesn't look like there is too much traffic up ahead. There is one GT car, and it does look like it's a Porsche 911 from the GTE class, the Deuces Motorsport Club car actually, but Mantis Rekkers is closing in onto Alessandro Apolloni on the run down into the Mulsanne hairpin. Won't quite be able to find a way alongside, but Alessandro Apolloni runs a little bit wider now. Mantis is going to get a great run out of the corner.
Yeah, it goes to the inside. They got a GT car in front, so Mantis going to be looking to squeeze him behind the BMW GTE. They can see Peter Schulzer in 4th place, not far up the road, and they split the GT car. 33 on the outskirts of the circuit. Absolutely beautiful. Actually, like zondering that GT car side by side. It's Indianapolis, almost contact, and it's still going to be Apolloni to the inside, still banging wheels, and still Mantis Rekkers holds the place.
And as they make their way through Indianapolis down into Arnage, look how close there's contact between the two of them, and Apolloni will definitely not be getting the better run out of Arnage like that.
Yeah, it's stuck very close on the inside of the Ferrari. The Ferrari didn't expect that LMP2 to really be there, thought he would hold it back, but no, not with Alessandro Apolloni on your inside. He won't. He's going to now have to wait, have to bide his time. We'll go back to the lead of LMP2 because these guys are even closer than before. 0.4, it looks more like 0.2 now between the two, with Ernest Lappins looming into view through the 4 chicanes in heavy GT traffic. This is actually for second place in GTE. These guys, they are coming through now. Also, Jimmy Nizula, 5.8 second gap in the lead of GT. You can see Ernest is closer than ever before in the 17 Pin Sim Drillers Esports car. Absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, great stuff coming through in that actually, just quick update at the front of the field. Ibrahim Khan now has a 16-second lead over Henry Sinnick. Still no pit stops from that hypercar class either yet.
Nope, nothing yet, but again, we're not expecting them in for at least another 5 minutes. Usually the hypercars and the GTEs and GT3s can go about an hour on the tank of fuel, so any time from, well, I'd say now if they've been pushing it to anywhere, maybe even an hour and 10 if they've been fuel saving, is actually pretty solid in the eyes of anyone that has been setting the strategies in the pit wall. They're actually right on the back of the GTE leader now, the 2 LMP2 leaders. LMP2 leaders meet the GTE leader. That is going to be Jimmy Nizula, and you can see already that Marcel Cinchik knew what was going to happen, so he pulled out nice and early, and he's just trying to find that run, but it's not working out for the 117 Varga car.
We might be having a bit of a battle as well, slightly lower down in the GTE order, because Perby Cars is closing in on DGTL, and this is the battle for P5 on the Mulsanne straight, making our way to the first Mulsanne chicane. Perby Cars will look to the inside. DGTL, it looks like they won't try to defend too hard, and surely down the inside goes the BMW pardon me, that is the number, that is Perby Cars moving up a position.
First GT3 stops coming in, the 45 DIS SR Lab and the 777 Nightmare car in. Meanwhile, Borhameland about as far out in the lead as ever, 15.7 seconds now is the lead between the two. And also, Bobby Trunley still tailing the back of Mark Veit as the 2 LMP2 leaders are closing there. And you can still see Ernest, he's trying to close in on them. He's trying to get on the back of them, but it's just not working for him right now.
It's not working at the moment. 2 seconds behind. Either way, he's been putting in a really good stint, has the number 17 Pin Sims Drillers Esports car, and trying to emulate his Pin Sims teammate Henry Sinnick, who has started to reel Ibrahim Khan back in, and now just 14.5 seconds behind. Actually, as I just keep an eye on this DGTL battle, it's not done just yet either, because look how close DGTL are to Perby Cars, and Perby in the BMW will be looking for the move onto the Ferrari. Will they be able to find it though?
potentially that Pierre Biel car looking very, very close indeed. But this is what we got to keep an eye on. He's going to try and have a look, or try and at least slipstream off the back. 2 battles within about half a second of each other. 2 battles very, very close, and 2 battles that could spark at any moment.
Yeah, they could spark at absolutely any moment, and down towards Arnage goes the GTE battle. We'll keep an eye on all the battles that are happening to the best of our abilities. Not the greatest of runs from Perby cars out of Arnage, and they might just have to wait a little bit longer to find a move on DGTL.
Yeah, exactly. Not everyone's going to be that close for now, and everyone potentially starting to settle in to the race, especially these PB cars and the DGTL number 12. These guys are going to potentially be looking to settle in, just keep it clean, keep it quiet, and not have too many issues. Everyone else has seemed to really sort of settled into a rhythm. These are the only 2 fights that are actually close. Oh, sorry, the only 2 fights that are close on track at the moment.
Yeah, they are indeed, and actually it's going to be a good run from Perby cars. They make their way through the Chevrolet curves and now down into the Ford chicane. Maybe into the Dunlop chicane. Perby cars could look for a move. They seem to get such a better drive through these tighter, these slower corners, and they've got their traction as well. And now all the front windscreen is just full of the DGTL Ferrari. Let's see, through the Dunlop curve we go. And Perby cars just a little bit too far back. Don't want to risk anything this early on into the race.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really want to risk anything within the first 2, maybe 3 hours. But of course, we have still a minute and 1 minute to go before we go into our EEWC hourly catch up here in the Le Mans 24 hours, and hopefully we can have these guys keep fighting the whole time.
Oh, tracks him, they're battling.
Tracks him, and sorry, pros him, and I believe that is Riley McKibben actually in front of the ACC Motorsport car. Got very, very close indeed, and I believe that is Riley McKibben actually making the move. I'm not too sure. That actually is Riley McKibben making that move stick.
Yeah, good stuff from Riley McKibben, moving up 1 extra position. Marcel Chinchik, he's not far away, is he?
Oh, leader in LMP2 made a mistake. Yes, but Pedersen wide and the Multan hairpin. Through will go. Marcel Chinchik just got very, very late on the brakes, locking the front, I believe, and just ran extremely wide on the exit. This is also allowed Ernest Lappins even closer than before, but Chinchik now will lead for Varga in the 117, but it's going to be Jesper Pedersen looking very, very quick indeed onto the back of Chinchik. Nothing going to be done just yet between the 2. He's not going to have the speed to get by. But Jesper Pedersen, he's going to have a look in that Burst Age Esports car very, very soon, because otherwise he's going to have that Pinsim Drillers Esports car on the back of him.
Yeah, maybe we're going to get that good old 3-way battle for the lead of the LMP2 class, which we said is the biggest of all the classes, and it is by all means, it is delivering. Perby cars also still trying to hunt down DGTL close, but our eyes are glued onto this LMP2 battle. The question is, Marcel Chinchik, now that he has some clear air, can he push? I think we're going to go to a quick ad break, and when we're back, we will continue following this battle in the LMP2 class.